RDTDaily.com presents a Tarabuster with comedian Tara Devlin.
All right, everybody, how's it going? Why am I sounding so chipper? I don't know. And my voice just sounded like that for a second. I don't know. I'll bring it down. I'll reel it back in. My name is Tara Devlin. For those who don't know, thank you for joining in. We meet here every Saturday evening from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern at the RDT Daily Facebook and YouTube channels, and we are rebroadcast starting Sunday on Progressive Voices or anytime on the Progressive Voices app, and at GDPR Revolution 99 and iTunes and SoundCloud and everywhere else. So do me a favor, give me a review on iTunes, give the show a review on iTunes, share the show with your friends, all that stuff. I'm just getting through what I have to get through in the beginning. What else? Please donate to RDT Daily. I want to thank everybody who have already donated and continue to donate. We have some recurring donations, and believe me, they are very much appreciated. Thank you. Anyone who donates above $20 will get this Grab Them by the Midterms window cling with Francis Jr. And I'll send you a bunch. I'll send you more than one. How's that? You can share them with your friends, because the midterms are fast approaching, and we need to get the word out that it's like Obama says, don't boo, vote, right? The other thing I want to say, we have RDT Daily has a shop now, so there's some really cool shirts and stuff that you can buy with Francis Jr. on them, with not just RDT Daily shirts, like Resist shirts, Vote shirts. We have a cool shirt that says come and take it, with a pencil. All right, the pen is mightier than the sword. And so anyway, check that out. Go to rdtdaily.com and go to the shop and buy some shirts. I'm going to be wearing some as soon as they arrive. And other than that, let's get going, because we are in the last days of the Republic. Oh, the other thing I want to say is in the second hour, Karen Williams will be calling in. She's an amazing comedian. And she has an Institute for Humor that promotes the healing power of humor. And humor is what connects us. I know as a comedian, one thing that I've learned in general by doing stand-up to diverse crowds is that we all relate. We laugh because we relate. We relate to the vulnerability. We relate to the mishaps and it's our humanity. We're bonded. I don't care what the Republicans say. We are in this together, and that's what humor teaches me. There's no greater bonding experience, I think, than such a human experience than getting together with a group of people that you don't know. Perhaps you don't know everybody in an audience, and laughing your asses off. And it's healing. So Karen's going to call in. She's great in many, many ways. That's just one of them. So she's probably nicer than me. I am not probably. I mean, she is. I'm a little less, I guess, evolved. I have a tender heart, right? But I'm filled with anger and rage. So I'm not one of these people that want to reach across the aisle and say, "Oh, I want to understand you." I don't want to understand racists. Okay, I want them to catch up. I want them to evolve. I want them to stop being so stupid, really, and so easily manipulated. I don't know if I have to find common ground. What's the common ground? We do have common ground with these people, except they don't see it. They don't want to see past their own eyelashes because the common ground as we see, and this is a good segue to get into this, because I want to talk about healthcare. One of the things that I hope to see before I die is universal health care. That's really one of the things that I feel I'm most passionate about. And if only because it's not if only. I mean, it's just we all get sick. We all need health care. Everybody is human. Like we were just saying, this mortal coil is temporary, and it will start breaking down. Those are the four sufferings, right? Birth, old age, sickness, and death, right? And none of us will escape these sufferings. So, as we see with these Republicans, they're coming for health care. That's just the bottom line. They are destroying Obamacare because they don't like Obama. They don't like the name. Right? Trump doesn't like the name. That's what it is. But now that you see what Republicans have done, they did something that Obama and the Democrats just could not figure out since they passed Obamacare, which is they made Obamacare more popular. All right? Now suddenly there's more because people don't like oh wait, hold on. My headphones are fucking up. Okay. They don't they realize they need to they don't want to be kicked off of their insurance when they have a pre-existing condition, because everybody has a pre-existing condition. It's called being a human being. So they're all right, let me just, there's so many things going on in my head right now. One of them is that the healthcare, the other is, Manafort, the other is Kavanaugh, but they're all kind of connected, especially, Kavanaugh, because if he gets in, that's it. That's the end of healthcare. And, but I wanted to play this thing that I saw with Paul Ryan, because, this is the plot here. You see, they'll put up with anything that Twitler has puts in front of us, and just when we think he can't get any worse, of course, right? He surprises us again with this week with the hurricane and now hitting. Well, I guess it's sort of the end of it, hitting the southern East Coast. Of course, those people will get more attention because they're not brown primarily, right? And they are Trump voters. There's a lot of Trump voters there. So that's the way Trump rolls, and that's how these Republicans roll. And apparently I hear that he's on the phone talking to the governors and the mayors because he wants them to praise him. He wants them to say, oh, yes, when they get in front of the cameras to say, I spoke to President Trump. And I mean, I don't want to say, what am I saying, President Trump? They need to call him by his proper name, which is so-called President Trump, but they continue to call him by President Trump, despite the fact that he didn't win. He received fewer votes. Okay, but whatever. So, but that's all. It's all because he's a con man. He knows about branding. He knows about how to presentation. Even though obviously he's letting himself go a little bit because he's sick, right? He's an addict. His addiction is greed, and he's an empty, soulless vessel, right? So you can never put enough shit into that hole. That gaping wound of a soul that he is. That's why he's on the phone with the White House chefs constantly. Give me another hamburger. He's really ballooning. And come on, people. Like he had his physical. Apparently he's like 1 pound below obese. That guy's obese. He's very unhealthy, and whatever. Not that I'm crying about it. He's just disgusting. That's what he is. That's why he's got his trophy wife. He's not a real person. He's a very sick man. And so if you say, I always say this, we know you want to know somebody, look at their friends. You want to know Republicans, look at who they hang out with. Look at their standard bearer. But really, you want to know the United States, look at Trump, right? And that's what's so sad, because what a shame that these Republicans have dragged us down so low in the eyes of humanity. The entire globe looks at us with disdain because we have a very sick sociopath at the helm, and he who took advantage of a broken system, of a system that was ripe for exploitation. And yeah, it has been exploited, but he just went to town. If this system wasn't broken, we wouldn't have a Trump. That's just the bottom line. So anyway, but just listening to them. So Trump is out there saying that Democrats are coming for your Social Security and Medicare because we want Medicare for all. Normal people want Medicare for all. We want everybody in, nobody out, right? We want Medicare. We want nobody left behind. That's what it means to be a patriot, right? That's what it means to be an American. But they want health care for some, the few, except when it hits them. See, Republicans only, I'm talking about the average Joe Republicans now, they only see the light when something affects them directly, right? So when they hate Obamacare, and then all of a sudden it's being taken away, and they're like, whoops, oh wait, I have diabetes, and I was able to get medicine for the first time in forever, right? But they don't want that. They want people at each other's throats. That's the other thing. That's why they don't want universal anything. They hate Social Security, and they know that people like it. See, this is how crafty these Republicans are. So they fought Social Security tooth and nail. But now they're supposedly the defenders of it. Meanwhile, they're going to destroy it. What they want to do is hand it over to their big benefactors, their billionaire masters, their Wall Street grifters, other Wall Street grifters like Trump and Trump Jr. and day traders and the people that went after Mon Pa Social Security in the first place during the financial crisis, and the same people that crashed the economy twice in 100 years. Those people, that's what they want. They want your retirement because it's not enough. It will never be enough. Just like there's never enough hamburgers that coming out of the White House kitchen for that useless waste of DNA squatting in the White House. Well, he's probably at the golf course right now, but there will never be enough for these grifters in Wall Street and all their Republican enablers, and that's what they're doing. So Trump was out there saying that Democrats are coming for your Medicare. They will, they want to. Well, he said recently that they wanted to destroy Medicare to pay for socialism. Are you kidding me? Because they know how stupid their idiots are. Think about it. The dumb bastards who put that hamburger chomping. I mean, I can't even imagine how many cows that had to sacrifice their lives for that thing, that con man, that Putin puppet, that horrible human waste of human DNA. I would take 50,000 herds over that waste of air. But anyway, I mean, that's just me. But what was I saying? So so he goes out there and he says that Democrats want to destroy Social Security to pay. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Medicare to pay for socialism. It's just, they know how stupid the people are that vote for them. I mean, the rest of the world goes, "What are you talking about?" They go, "What?" The rest of the world are offended by the fact that the Republicans think we're as dumb as the people who vote for them. But so here we go. Anyways, let me just play this thing from Paul Ryan. I'll just get it out of the way. He was being interviewed this week by some Washington Week or something, I don't know. And they were talking about health care, because Republicans are undermining health care. So when the health care, when it becomes time to sign up again, when the bills come due, when you're stinking premiums that no other country on earth has to deal with, right? But we got to deal with premiums hiking and rising because, you know, they got to grift and they got to get money for their CEOs by denying care. They need to skim off the top. Obamacare, you see, regulated these unconscionable so-called health insurance rackets. That's what they are. It's nothing but a racket that stands in your doctor's office skimming money off the top, denying care, getting rich by denying care. And before the ACA, they took like 35% or something like that off the top. The ACA limited them to take, can you deal with 20% off the top? Maybe you only have a gold faucet in your CEO's bathroom, not for all the higher executives that are getting rich by denying care. Maybe when your fat bastards leave and retire, like Bill McGuire from United Healthcare, maybe don't give them a $1.6 billion bonus, retirement bonus. That really happened. $1.6 billion. One fat monster took $1.6 billion as a retirement. How is he going to live? How did you think he managed? How did he manage? We should really interview him. If I feel bad for him. I feel bad for the poor soul. How could he handle it? Only $1.6 billion? I don't know how he managed. So that's what. But all that money that's blood money, because every dollar that was funneled into Bill McGuire. But I think what happened was that got reversed or something, as far as I know. He still got a big chunk of change, but the 1.6, I think they got a little bad taste. You know, when that got out, it became it was a little bit unseemly. So I think it was they reversed it or something. Maybe you only got 1.4 billion. Who knows? I don't remember. But I don't know how he handled it, right? How do you manage? First of all, somebody gives me 1.6 billion? Don't you think, I don't know. I would feel kind of disgusting about that. I would take it because I would fund this thing. And we would start a real news, you know, like progressive news, whatever. But I would just be like, you know, think about this world. How many people can live? How many people had to die to give that fat bastard $1.6 billion? How many denials? How many children couldn't get their chemo? How many old people maybe had another year in them, but they were denied care? They had to cut their pills in half. How many whatever? How many, you know, people couldn't, just have one more day with their loved ones because they were denied care? How many hours were spent on the phone arguing with these unconscionable, ghoulish corporations? Right? What a waste of time in your last days of life trying to wrest a little bit more out of this thing, this temporary existence. And you got to be on the phone with the representatives from Bill McGuire's, golden parachute. Disgusting. This is disgusting. It's really gross. And it's also stupid because the USA has the least effective outcomes in healthcare. We pay the most, twice as much as the next most expensive system, and we leave millions out. And we don't even get the best care, despite what Republicans say, because they are liars. And that's the truth. That's just the way it is. They will sell out their own mothers, you see. But as long as they got theirs, because when I play this clip, when Paul Ryan was on the show, you just remember, Paul Ryan will be just fine. He's got health care for life, thanks to you and me. And his little brats, I'm sure they'll be nice and secure when Paul Ryan goes to his next lobbying position and starts sucking up some corporate salary or whatever, you know, he'll be just fine. Because all of the time that they were denying and dreaming, this little scum, this acolyte of a sociopath, Ayn Rand, that's his big hero, she was a big, she loves sociopaths, where she wrote glowingly in her diaries about a child murderer and dismemberer as a real man who was free of the constraints of other people or something, because that's normal. That's what she wrote. Anyway, could you imagine? Get my diary, please. It will be like, do I look fat? Why don't I have a Wikipedia page yet? You know what I mean? But it won't be, oh, you know what? You know who's a great man? You know who's really admirable? A child murderer. And if that was the case, anybody who writes that, they need to be taken to an asylum. You don't use them to shape your government policy, okay? Unless you're crazy and sick. But, well, here we are. But so Paul Ryan, he was dreaming when he was in college. When I was in college, I was trying to be straight. I couldn't help it. I was gay. I couldn't help it, but I was trying to be straight. I did a lot of I worked hard at it, whatever. But I couldn't this was a different time. There were no gay straight alliances. I had a very low self-esteem. Anyway, whatever. I realized but that's what I was trying to do. I was doing drugs and I was smoking pot and whatever. I was very confused. But I wasn't dreaming of taking people's health care away, taking people's retirement away. Who dreams of this? You know what I mean? In high school, in college, whenever. Sick people, that's who. Republicans. But so here, anyway, let me just play this, and then we can discuss it on the other side. Hold on, I got to take this lower third off. Otherwise, hold on, everybody. Here we go.
We failed to pass our entitlement reform bill on health care by one vote in the Senate. That's correct.
So, I guess, what are the prospects of reining that in? Because,
I think the election will have to determine that based upon what our vote count looks like in the Senate. We keep the House majority, which I think we will, and then you have to make sure that you have a big enough of a majority in the Senate to be able to pass health care reform.
But do people in Janesville, do people in Wisconsin, is that what they want? I mean, do they really want their benefits taken away or curtailed?
Did I just say that?
No, I know. But do they want to?
I think they want to see an end to double-digit premium increases. I think they want to see that we have Medicare on a path to solvency. I don't think they want to see 200 million people get added to Medicare to accelerate its bankruptcy, which is what a lot of people are running for, like Tammy and others. I think if you take a look at our proposals, it would have lowered health care premiums. It would have still preserved pre-existing conditions. It would have been done more to give people more choices. We're down to one or two choices in the individual market. Because of, I think, our incremental progress we've made on health care since that bill didn't pass. We got rid of the individual mandate, so we're not forcing people to buy something they don't want. Scott is getting a waiver, 1332 waiver for risk pools. Our risk pool worked really well in Wisconsin. The HRSP, which you probably are familiar with, you've probably written about it. The HRSP,
no longer there, but yes, the high risk insurance.
Yeah, it worked really well in Wisconsin. It got people with pre-existing conditions affordable coverage, and as a result, it dramatically lowered the premiums for everybody else in Wisconsin, the other 90% of Wisconsinites in the individual market that were not in the risk pool. Well, we're putting that back in place now, and with federal funding. So you will see, I think, a better stabilized health insurance market in Wisconsin as a result of the governor's new approved waiver to restart risk pools, which is something we wanted to get done in law earlier, but I'm glad that the governor is getting a waiver to do that, because that's going to help us a lot in Wisconsin. And I think that's what Wisconsinites would like to see. Okay,
in a way, though, doesn't that cement the ACA as being around? I mean, it doesn't.
No, I think what it does is what's happening with the experience for the ACA in Wisconsin is so many counties down to one or two plans to choose from, and escalating premiums. If we can go back to the pre-ACA situation where we had a risk pool so that people with pre-existing conditions could get affordable coverage, like we had with HRSP, then the rest of the individual market, more insurers will come into the marketplace and we'll have more choices, more competition that can help bring prices down. That is what we had before the ACA, and I think going through the waiver route, we have association health plans coming online now because of the administration. That's going to help Dawn and Chico Pope at the Buckhorn Supper Club, which is the best prime rib in the world, buy their...
That's a commercial.
Yeah, sorry, yeah, I probably get an ethics charge for that. Yeah, that will help them buy their health insurance in the Wisconsin Restaurant Association or the National Restaurant Association to spread the risk and get better coverage. So good things are happening in healthcare because we've moved toward more of an incremental approach of improving the situation because we didn't get the big bill passed through the Senate.
Okay. You know what the best thing that spreads the risk is? It's called Medicare for all. So I love, well, not love in quotes, him talking about we got rid of the individual mandate, which nobody liked. So we're not forcing people to buy something they don't want, but we're creating this risk pool and going back to pre-ACA. This is what made the ACA necessary to begin with. And this is why I can't stand Republicans, because we can't ever get anywhere. That's why they're regressives. You think we could do something great? They talk about America great. Let's be great again. Like when we did things like we went to the moon and such, where we can't even get to next week with these bastards because they're constantly dragging us backwards. Going back to times that we should have left, that we left behind. We left it behind. Nobody, as we see right now, wants to be kicked off of health care when they're sick, when they talk about pre-existing conditions. Now, all of the sudden, Paul Ryan is a big advocate for people being insured with pre-existing conditions because, he'll never have a pre-existing condition. And if he does, he won't have to worry about it, right? Because he is safe, thanks to you and me. He covered his own ass. And that's all that matters with these bastards. So he's talking about the pre-ACA. That's why we needed it. Because it was, and that's what I cannot even believe what I'm hearing when I listen to him talking about this going back to pre-ACA. So we're going to have that fight all again. Do you remember the fight? And honestly, if the Democrats had done what I said they should, which is we needed a public option, and we still do. We need to stop this argument and stop it now by, first of all, stop everything by making the argument, not, everybody in, nobody out. Forget it. That's it. Who needs a risk pool? So when you go to the doctor, they say, I'm sorry, you have cancer. Oh, let me get on the phone and try to find an insurance high risk pool plan. I hate these people. Because the thing about healthcare is that you're healthy one day and you're sick the next day. You don't know if you need it or not. That's why the best risk pool is Medicare for all. You scums, and it's actually lower. It costs less, and it insures everybody. And he's talking about keeping Medicare solvent for the next generation. That's how you keep it solvent. You bring everybody into it, and then we all have a vested interest in it. It's like Social Security, and you stop effing with it, you freaking Republican bastards. So he's complaining that people don't like high double-digit premiums. No, they don't like it because Republicans are screwing with it. If Republicans would stop and take their big, filthy, greedy, bony Republican hands off of our health care once and for all and stop undermining it, it would have worked. If their Republicans, insured, opened up Medicare so more people got insurance and stopped, honestly, enough is enough. Enough. Don't we see all around the world? This is why the Republican arguments are bullshit, and they only work on the dumbasses who still watch Fox News, and they're a dying breed, literally. So because the rest of humanity, younger people, see the world is very small now, thanks to the internet. And they see every other country on earth having health care for all and not being, losing their freedom. In fact, who the hell wants to be sick and get on the phone with these morons, on these greedy bastards, and just be like, oh, please, let me have my treatment? And then get bills and co-pays and reinsurance and co-insurance. Like, enough is enough. I mean, this is why we're insane here. We're insane to have a system that puts dumbasses in charge, even though they get fewer votes, and unconscionable people. Why does anybody vote for a Paul Ryan? I really don't understand. I don't get it. Why would they send him back to Congress again and again and again? And all he's doing is undermining their lives, their very existence. And Paul Ryan was no advocate for anybody's life. He was, did he ever care when somebody got kicked off of healthcare pre-ACA? When somebody had a pre-existing condition pre-ACA? Did he care? No. Did he? Never. All he cared about was fulfilling his dream of destroying Medicare. That's a dream? If somebody has a dream to destroy Medicare, that means they should be taken the furthest that they possibly can away from the levers of power because they're sick. There's something wrong with him. Anyway, all right. I'm really pissed about this, as you can see. It's just because I don't get it. It's like watching somebody, to me, it feels like we would all be outraged watching, someone like him, someone who's a greedy bastard and has everything handed to him, who took the Social Security survivor benefits and climbed the ladder up thanks to them and works now to pull the ladder up behind him. He's always had a job in government, yet he works to undermine and destroy government. And, but it's almost like watching him take Granny and punch her in the face. If we would see that this healthy, youngish man who sucks up the power, who drinks $350 bottles of wine with corporate lobbyists while concocting ways to strip people of health care. That's what he does for a living. And turn around. We wouldn't stand for it in actuality, but that's what he's doing. He's undermining us all, humanity, decency. And meanwhile, Trump is off. And this is all they care about. As long as they can kick people off of health care and funnel more money into the hands of people who will never spend it in 50,000 lifetimes, and that's not even an exaggeration, they don't care how low their standard bearer drags us. They don't care that this guy committed treason. They don't care that he is not a normal person, that he's got a sickness, that he's greedy. That is something that will make you easily exploitable. It's the same thing. So with Manafort, who just pled guilty to one of the charges against him that he pled to was conspiracy against the United States. Okay? Could you imagine? Think about this. If anybody, how many people, I can't even keep track, how many people in Trump's so-called government have pled guilty, been indicted? It never stops. We're in double digits for sure. I know that. But could you imagine if anybody close to the President Hillary Clinton pled guilty to conspiracy against the United States? Could you imagine the outrage that what we've been dealing with right now from the Fox News contingent, from Trump TV? All right. Could you imagine? It just wouldn't. It never stops anyway. But it doesn't matter what Trump does. So he can deny just him tweeting about the people that died in Puerto Rico, that he's denying the death count of the casualty count in Puerto Rico because it makes him look bad. Like, this is what he's tweeting about. And Republicans don't care because they're ramming through their judges and they're funneling more money to the top and they're coming for your health care. See, as long as they can kill more Americans, you see, they're killing us spiritually, mentally, physically, and literally. How sick are these people? How sick are they? And why are they in charge? Okay, this is why it's important, okay, to vote. I don't know. If we don't get it back in this midterms, and I say this every week, it's done. It really is. And these are the consequences. This is why, I would much rather be pushing Hillary to the left than fighting these fascist bastards because they know no limits. They are immoral. They are sick. And so they came after, apparently, Manafort, who is been infesting government for years. And he's just a symptom. He's another symptom. And lobbying and dealing with foreign governments. And they're traitors because he's a greedy bastard. Greed makes you sick. So that's what we have in the White House. Of course, this is who they surround themselves with. And they're infesting the Republican Party because that's where they're going to get the most play. The Republicans have no morals. They'll do whatever. They're not there for altruism. They're not there to make this thing run. They're not there to serve the people or make a society that works for all. They're there to make a society that works for them because they're stupid, you see. They can't seem to make a buck, it seems, unless the game is rigged for them. So they got to do the rigging, right? Because the best ideas Trump could come up with was a sweatshop in China, or, hey, put my name on something, or open a casino. That's who he is. He's no great businessman. He's just a grifter. And anybody who cheers him is a sucker. If you don't think that he's a con man, guess what? You're the mark. That's the bottom line. And of course you're the mark. Now he's coming for your health care. So they don't. This is what Republicans are. They're sickening, really, because they know how stupid their idiots, the idiots who vote for them are. So they don't even have they're not even embarrassed to go out there and say Democrats are coming for Medicare to pay for socialism. That's what they know. They are counting on the stupidity of the morons. They don't have to just count on it. They can take that stupidity to the bank, obviously. And then and all the dumbasses will cheer and say, yeah, he's right. They're coming for our Medicare to pay for socialism. They're going to destroy Medicare? Yeah, because we want everybody in, nobody out. You see, that will destroy it to them. Meanwhile, if God forbid, they go on these town halls. If I see another one of these Trump supporters, pre-existing conditions, I have, they see the light when something affects them directly. Like, for instance, they had this, I wish I had prepared it. I just thought of it now, but they called him the Trump troubadour, right? He followed Trump's campaign with, playing songs for all the dumbasses and the Trumpanzees, singing songs about Trump. Because, I don't know, why, of all people, Trump? Because he played a successful businessman. That's what it was. Because they're stupid. They see reality TV, so they're like, oh, he played a successful businessman on reality TV. Oh, like Trump is some kind of, he's some, amazing, he's like an Edison or something. He's, what would this world do without him? But so the guy's son had died of a drug overdose, and during this opiate epidemic, another thing that makes us great, right? Make America great. We live in this country where people are addicted, and They don't have treatment because Republicans are coming for health care, right? So, but anyway, Trump promised this moron that he would, of course, you know, he would bring him up on stage and say, even you know, this is a very tough thing, addiction, opiate addiction, and anybody can fall victim to it or whatever, and even strong people. This is what he was saying, because that's the myth, and it doesn't matter what the reality is. In the mind of these dumbasses, they're you know, you're only strong people. Strong people can not be out the book of knowledge, right? And so he was telling the guy, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Don't worry. When I'm the president, we're gonna tackle this opioid epidemic and whatnot." And of course, you know what's happening there. They're cutting back. They're undermining healthcare. And this includes access to addiction treatment and resources. So they're basically, this guy now, all of a sudden, he sees that he was fooled by Trump. Of course, that's who Trump is. He will say whatever needs to be said to whoever he can say it to, and as long as it gets him what he wants. And that's exactly, I mean, I hate to say it, that is what Hitler did. That's why you can go into Hitler's repertoire of speeches, and you could find something for everybody. That's why Republicans like to cherry pick. I mean, they cherry pick quotes anyway. They argue by memes. The other thing that, well, before I get there, but that's what they do. They cherry pick quotes and say, "Oh, well, if you get health care, it'll be just like Hitler, because that's what Hitler did," or whatever. And that's not what Hitler did. In fact, every other country on earth has health care. Nazi Germany had health care for years before it wasn't Nazi Germany, but Germany. Most countries, you could just look around. They're not living in fascist dictatorships because they have access to universal health care. I mean, come on. It's just ridiculous. So, and quite the opposite, as we know. If you can't go to the doctor when you're sick, you're not free. But whatever. That's us. That's the dupes. That's the United States of serfs and lords, of dupes and con men. And but anyway, that's who the Trump supporters are. They don't see the light unless it affects them directly, and they're half of them are on welfare of some form, and I'm just exaggerating. I don't know the exact statistic, but trust me, when they get welfare, they are entitled to it, you see. They feel they are entitled. It's just the other people that aren't entitled, right? They are taking advantage, and by other, I mean black or brown or, immigrants or whatever. That's that they are incapable of functioning in a democracy, okay? Because that's why they're living in their little fantasy lands where everybody's white, everybody is Christian. They la 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 la, put your fingers in your ears. No, I don't want to see anybody outside. Build a wall, the scary, complex world. Right? Let's get Trump and be strong. You're fired. That's what they think is strong. It's all a ruse. It's all a gimmick. And they're the easiest marks on the planet because they keep falling for the oldest tricks in the book. So, oh, God, help me. Really? Well, that's not God that will help us. We will help ourselves. And by doing that, how will we do it? We have to vote. We better ensure, this is the other thing, we need to really, I know that the Republicans are playing games with they're trying to prevent people from voting. That's the bottom line. They don't want people to vote. So it's really going to be up to us, the individual person. Each person has to ensure that we're on the rolls. I know we just had an election here in New York, and there were a lot of reports since the Democratic Party purged there was a lot of funky business going on here. Of course, that was during the primaries. And, that's not the Republican Party, unfortunately, but the establishments, they don't want, I don't even want to get into it, but that's what happened. And there's still a lot of problems here. Apparently people showed up and they weren't on the rolls. And, now's the time to fix that, regardless of what happened. I don't know the whole story. I remember at the time, I'm not trying to get into like a fight about Hillary and the establishment Democrats, but the bottom line is, Republicans suck, but let's be real. We wouldn't be here unless if not for an establishment Democratic Party that played nice, played footsie with Wall Street, and they were just fine with it. They're fine with squeezing the American worker, and this is what happens. They made them. They did not give them a lifeline. All the education in the world. That's the other thing they would open up. That was the DLC Democratic remedy for everything. Oh, let's just get education, more education, going to college. That's all great, but not everybody's going to be a Rhodes Scholar. So, but a lot of people just want a decent middle-class life, and that's what they deserve. Everybody deserves to be paid a living wage and have a decent middle-class life and some kind of, security and retirement security. But so that's, just allowing people to go to a college, but anyway, whatever, is not the remedy for everything. But we know that. There's a lot of things that need to be done. One of them is that the Democratic Party needs to find its soul. But, and channel its inner FDR, okay? By following his lead, by ensuring everybody in and nobody out is the only democratic value. We don't leave people behind in the Democratic Party. That's what it has to be. And we need to get money out of politics. We're not indebted to these, to the grifters, the Wall Street grifters. So, and that's what's, the other thing I want to talk about, there's a few things, because I see the time is ticking away. That's time for you. It bites you in the ass. Just when you think. That's why, I always think about this. We're here for a very short time. I don't know why, like somebody like a Paul Ryan wants to spend his limited lifespan kicking people off of healthcare. And you saw that when that guy asked him, do you think people want to be kicked off healthcare or whatever? He was like, did I say that? No, you're not saying that, but that's what you're doing, you bastard. You sociopath-loving scum. That's what you're doing. But in their fantasy, you see, they're selling fantasy, just like Trump sold the fantasy that he was a successful businessman. They're selling fantasy, trickle down. Everybody's a billionaire. Trickle, trickle. Everyone, dance in the trickle. I'm singing in the trickle. It's not even a rain, right? It's not even. That's how much they hate you. It's not a deluge. It's not a wave. Like Trump said, thank God we got Trump, right? When the hurricane hit, he would tell everybody it was wet. That's what he said to people. Oh, it's going to be wet. It's going to be, he is a moron. These monosyllabic, disjointed, whatever speeches that he gives, it's numbing to the mind and to the soul. I feel like I watch him and my IQ automatically dips. It's you're just dumb. You just become dumb and numb. I guess when you're numb and you're just, I guess, susceptible to this bullshit. And then how is a whole stadium of people susceptible to that bullshit? And that's what I watch that, and I look at all the idiots applauding. What are you applauding? Yay, take my health care. Yay, More money for billionaires. Yay. No Medicare. No Social Security. Yay. You stupid idiot. As long as you could kick down on an immigrant, right? Even though your granny was an immigrant, right? Or your great granny. Oh, I hate them. I just do. You know, because they don't even know who their friends are. That's the worst. When when an animal bites you, you know, when you're trying to help it, you can understand it. You can understand why they bite. Because they don't get it. They're stupid. They're not thinking. They don't have a human brain. They don't see that you're really trying to help them. But a human being, when they bite you and then they take everybody with you, I mean, I wish it was just them that lost their insurance, I even hate saying that, insurance. Who needs insurance? We need universal health care. We need health care as a right. Enough of it. Enough of this bullshit. Allowing these gross companies to stand in your doctor's office and deny care. Let the doctors be doctors. And Medicare has like a 3% overhead. So who needs 20%? Oh, how do they manage with only grifting 20% off the top? I'm sure they do just fine. Because as they're going around, you know, now Aetna's trying to buy United Healthcare. I don't remember the exact, but that's the sign of they're doing just fine. They're getting bigger and bigger. How many lobbyists do they have infesting Washington? Like the frickin' flying monkeys, right? Oh, God help us. And so it doesn't matter what Trump does. He can be a disgusting grifter and just vile human being daily. I mean, not even daily. I wish it was daily. It's like every 5 minutes. Whenever he opens his mouth and gets on his Twitter feed, it's one offense after the other, but they're fine with it. They don't know. They stick their fingers in their ears because they're getting their tax breaks and they're getting and it's not for the dumbasses. It seems that the dupes kind of know that they've been duped in that department. These tax cuts, and what really gets me is that when I see these Republicans, you know, they get on TV and they're talking about entitlement reform because, you know, we just can't afford it. We can't afford it, Granny. I'm sorry. Die. Why didn't you die? Right? You just keep living. You just keep waking up. And now we got to pay. I'm sorry, Granny. You should be dead. All right? And this is really what they are saying. You don't like Medicare, you don't like Social Security. This is what, you know, oh, don't worry, Republicans, they know that people like it, but they are, you know, they're tricking them. And now it's, we don't have the money. But guess where the money went, dupes? It went to the oligarchs. They funneled it to the top. And, you know, all these ballooning deficits, they're decrying. All of a sudden, Republicans added over $1 trillion. $1 trillion. They're not even in the B's anymore. Now it's $1 trillion. So they added more money into the coffers of people who don't need it. They didn't need it. They won't spend it. Ever. It's not trickling down. You won't be singing in the trickle. Don't worry. You're not. But guess what will happen? Your granny that's in Medicare, who's in a Medicare-funded nursing home because she's got Alzheimer's and needs 24 hours round-the-clock care, she's coming home, bud. She's going to be home. You better, and I guess you're going to have to get extra Uber shifts because, you know, who's going to pay? Maybe you need to take a class on how to, you know, feed and bathe and care for somebody with dementia. Because that's the world Republicans are creating. They don't want you to have a minute of peace. Because your peace, sucker, will come in heaven when you're dead. Right now, they got the earthly rewards. They want all those earthly rewards to themselves. Trump wants them. Ivanka wants him. Don Jr., Eric, they all want him. They're not for you. If you wanted a retirement, you should have come up with a scam. You should have been smart enough to make a sweatshop in China, sell some shoes or something. You should have been. Why weren't you smart? All right, you're dumb. That's why they can step on you like a peon. But that's who they are. You just keep voting for them, though. Keep voting Republican because you don't like brown people. Right? Brown people are taking advantage. Oh, it's the immigrants are on welfare. That's what it is, right? No, it's not, idiots. They can't get it. Oh, it's immigrants voting and non-white people sitting around in their social safety net hammock, which is, it's just such a lie. It's such a divisive lie to keep people stupid. Keep people at each other's throats. You have more in common with working people that are a different color, or even immigrants. You know what? I want people that in this country, the kind of person that travels across a desert to get here, that risks life and limb to come to the United States. That's the kind of person I want in this country. Somebody who knows what freedom means, who risks everything to obtain it. Somebody that's somebody that will appreciate a country that gives them a hand, that opens up their doors and says, come on in, you're safe, you're home, build a home here, build a life here. We want you here. You need a little help, we'll help you along the way. That's what we are. Wouldn't that be an amazing country? That's the kind of country that I want, that actually succeeds. Not one that just succeeds. I guess that's all we are. We just funnel more money to the top. We just make more billionaires. It's really gross. And I'm looking for this, actually. There's so many things I wanted to say, and I'm looking at the time. Oh my God. It never stops. That's why. I want to talk about Kavanaugh because I guess we can talk about that later with Karen. And, Karen's a nice person. Karen Williams is calling in. She's actually a nice person, and I'm not as nice. So, but maybe she'll help me be a little less angry. I don't know, probably not. It's going to take a long time. Because you can never rest. That's the other thing. You can never rest. You think, even when we get universal health care, because we will get it, maybe, I hope in my lifetime, it's coming. They know that. That's why Republicans have to smash and grab as much as they can for, just to get as much as they can for themselves, and they're just prolonging the inevitable. But but this is, I wanted to read this other thing. I don't think I'm going to get to it. Anyway, so. All right, yes, we meet here every Saturday evening, and from 6 to 8, and we are replayed on Progressive Voices on starting Sunday, anytime on the Progressive Voices app. Do me a favor, donate, buy some T-shirts, buy some mugs, and help us. That'll help. That helps us grow, and there's some good, really cool stuff on the RDT Daily store. Also, all right, because I want to talk about Kavanaugh and being blackmailed. Supposedly, Susan Collins whining that she's being blackmailed. Well, you know what? Take money out of politics, okay? And we won't have to blackmail you, because if the public had its way, if we actually got people in office to represent us who we voted for, we'd be living in a very progressive society, much more progressive. We wouldn't be dealing with these Republican ghouls, these greedy ghouls coming to slit our throats in the night, metaphorically. So, all right, yes, I'm going to take a break. So, in the break, I'm going to play some of Karen's comedy, which is great, so we could start laughing a little. So, the break is about 7 minutes long, and so we'll have Karen Williams, then we'll have the, labor history in 2 with Rick Smith, and I will be right back in about 7 minutes. My name is Tara Devlin, and I will see you on the other side.
Well, a lot of you lesbians who are new to Olivia, I know some of you are just coming out. You know, I read a book that said that the largest group of lesbians coming out are between 55 and 65. Did you know that? Wow. Like they're through with all their, listen to it. You're like, this was so factual. You walk, oh. Karen Williams goes, and you can quote me. You know? And so, but some of us have been out for so long, we remember when it was an adventure just to find another lesbian. Remember that? I mean, here we are cruising. Remember when cruising meant something else? When you had to find a fucking lesbian bar? Remember that? Go down that alley, turn right at the street light, walk past the 2 green garbage cans, make a left, you'll see an iron door, knock on it 3 times, a grate would open, someone said, what's the password? Peanut, and you got in. And the club was pitch black, only one way in, no other way out, but you were so excited to be in there, weren't you? Yeah, that's our history. Now we get to come through public airports, right? Public airports with Olivia bag tags. Right? Even though some of us are startled. Like every now and then I'll see a pack of lesbians in the airport. And I'll go up to the one with the mullet. And I'll say, are you with Olivia? And she'll go, who, me? Why are you asking? Well, you're the only one that's had that haircut since 1971. It wasn't really a test. They're like shocked that you know that they're the lesbians. And we do travel in packs, you notice that? Yeah. So there's packs of lesbians going around. And coming here was really amazing, wasn't it? Just so many lesbians, and and we all think we know each other. And the fact is we do. Yeah. I'll say I'm going to Reno or somewhere to perform, and someone will say, well, do you know Joan? She lives in Reno. And the sad part is I do. Joan now goes with Millie, my ex-lover's lover. We do know each other, don't we? So it's a really small kind of community. We only need to use first names, which works. For some of us, we don't. Some of us have never had a last name. Because we've had to be, right? We've had to be incognito, right? Yeah, like nobody knows we're a lesbian. Yeah. But now you can come out, you can come out down to 3rd grade, can't you? It's amazing to me. It took us a lifetime to come to peace and to terms. I've got a couple of granddaughters, right? I've got a granddaughter who's 14 who's told me already she wants to be a feminist. A feminist. Yeah, now it's only a few of you are clapping. Because that doesn't mean all lesbians are feminists, right? But there's potential. And that's all I'm looking for in my pack of grandchildren. It's potential. They say 1 in 10 is gay or lesbian. Right, I've got 8 grandchildren. 3/4 of one is on its way. I'm convinced. And then this literary event happening here made me think, I have a 12-year-old granddaughter, and she wrote a book recently. She wrote a book, yeah, it was 2 pages. And the cover page said, warning, sexual content inside. Now, I only found out about this because she got in trouble for that at school. And she couldn't really understand why she got in trouble, but it said, warning, sexual content inside, and when you opened it, was the word titties. fucking hilarious. I had a hard time knowing why she had detention.
I'm Rick Smith, and this is Labor History in 2. On this day in labor history, the year was 1985. That was the year that the first Farm Aid concert was held in Champaign, Illinois. A retrospective article in Time magazine reported, quote, "In the 1980s, American farmers were hit hard by what were, at the time, the worst economic conditions since the Great Depression. Droughts ravaged the fields, property values plunged, loan interest rates soared. Thousands were forced off their land and faced foreclosure and bankruptcy. Farmer suicide rose at alarming rates. The idea to use music to aid the farmers began with Bob Dylan at an event to help African famine victims. Then musicians Willie Nelson, John Mellencamp, and Neil Young took up his idea and ran with it. 50 musicians took the stage at the University of Illinois football stadium. The organizers were joined by such headliners as Bob Dylan, Johnny Cash, Billy Joel, Tom Petty, Roy Orbison, Bonnie Raitt, Kenny Rogers, Joni Mitchell, the Beach Boys, Jimmy Buffett, Bon Jovi, Foreigner, and more. The musicians played for 14 hours to a rain-soaked crowd of nearly 80,000. A telethon also helped to bring in donations. It raised $9 million for farm relief. More importantly, it helped raise national awareness of the dire economic conditions faced by many small farmers. Farm Aid has continued to hold concerts for small farmers. In 2015, the 30th anniversary concert was held in Chicago. As an organization, Farm Aid has raised more than $50 million for small farmers.
Now, live for Farm Aid and a concert for America, here's Willie Nelson.
Labor History in 2 brought to you by the Illinois Labor History Society and The Rick Smith Show.
I just can't wait to get on school again.
Welcome back, everyone. My name is Tara Devlin, and this is Tarabuster. We meet here every Saturday evening from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern at the RDT Daily Facebook and YouTube channels, and replayed starting Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern on Progressive Voices or anytime on the Progressive Voices app and on GDPR Revolution 99, iTunes, SoundCloud, everywhere else. Give me a review on iTunes, all that good stuff, and we're back. All right. So I have a very nice guest on the phone. And I mean nice, not like me. She's actually a really decent human being. No. I'm a decent person, everybody. But I mean, wait till I read you these credits. The Karen Williams is, I mean, let me just unmute her. Hold on. Karen, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm here.
Whenever somebody calls in, I'm always surprised when the phone actually works. So,
right.
So, but let me just read your credits. I played a clip of your comedy during the break, so people get to know you a little bit. And so, I mean, Karen she has the unique distinction of being the nation's first openly lesbian black comic to include specifically lesbian material in her act. Now, that is groundbreaking. And her solo comedy special, I Need a Snack, filmed live in Hollywood. And, I mean, she's got these credits. I was reading these credits. I was like, I started feeling like shit. Feature-length... I was like, feature-length, award-winning comedy documentary, Laughing Matter, showcases Karen's star quality, includes interview clips that highlight her social activism. Other credits include the film We Were Funny That Way from HBO, and comedy writer and host for the TV show In the Life. Remember that show in New York City? Karen is a featured comic on who performs on Olivia, the Olivia Cruises. She's since 1990. You've done thousands of shows on Olivia. You've gone
No,
all over the world.
well, not thousands.
A million. I think there's a million shows now. And but one of the things that Karen is doing is, okay, first of all, she graduated summa cum laude from Cleveland State University with a personally designed major called Humor and Healing. Okay, everybody. And she earned a master's. I mean, I'm just like, hello. Master's of Education. And so it says Karen taught stand-up comedy and dramatic arts in the Dramatic Arts Department of Cleveland State University. Studied improv at Second City. Directed comedy classes at Second City. Okay, hello. These are. I mean, this is like that's the creme de la creme. All right. And so Karen Williams is a creator and facilitator of the Humor at Large workshop series. And I just want to, the other thing it just goes on. Karen, one of the very important things that you're doing now is Karen is the founder and CEO of the HaHa Institute, International Institute of Humor and Healing Arts, whose mission is to encourage the fullest and highest activation of human potential for compassion, wisdom, and life force through the daily use of humor that supports healing. And there's a GoFundMe going on for the HaHa Institute.
There is.
Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Well, see, right now we're a virtual institute, and I want a brick and mortar place so that I can. Right now, I travel around a lot, and I'd like to be able to have a place where people can come and actually learn about the healing power of humor through workshops, seminars, and we, Cleveland has a few institutes like this. The Gestalt Institute is here, Rainier Institute is here, so I want to be on the landscape as having a physical place, so I'm ready for that now. So I'm doing a GoFundMe.
That's great.
And people can find it on my Facebook page, and, I'm just, or at GoFundMe. I don't really know how any of that really works, but, I figure it out.
Right. If you go to the hahainstitute.com, right? I mean, can they get there from there?
Go to that. Well, they can actually. That would be a great idea if I had the link on there, wouldn't it? No, I'll put it.
Yeah.
But they could email me or contact me, and I can give more information. So yes, if people go to www.hahainstitute.com, you can find out about the institute and then get to me about the GoFundMe. Right. That would be great.
Yeah.
And also I have a Facebook. HaHa Institute has a Facebook page, and the GoFundMe link is on the Facebook page. So.
And that's what we need. I mean, humor, and we need humor. We need to heal. And this is a very difficult time. I know that a lot of people, most people, are feeling it. People who are awake, even people who are not as conscious of the political atmosphere, they're feeling this the tension right now in this country. And
well, I think that, I'm such a staunch feminist, and, what we used to say is that the personal is political. And so I don't even like to factionalize people, because even if you don't care about people, you care, a lot of people care about pets and whales more than they care about humans.
Right.
The fact of the matter is, if we destroy the ecology, the ecological balance on this planet, even our pets are going to have a hard time. I mean,
right.
I hear about another person talking about their pet has cancer or arthritis, or, they're getting the same diseases that we have. It's ridiculous.
Right, right.
A friend of mine has a dachshund, and she didn't realize that the fertilizer that she was using on her lawn was so toxic that the dachshund's belly was rubbing on the grass, and the dog developed cancer.
Oh, no. See, but that's affects all of us. It affects living
all of us.
Yeah. That dachshund just happened to be lower to the ground, and yeah. But yeah, that's right. In the atmosphere right now. The kids are playing on that lawn, and
that's right.
That's right. People walking across that lawn, and that's got to affect everybody. Right. But we're all connected. That's
the point. That is really the point. So, I think that all of this, I do diversity and inclusion trainings, and the whole thing is we just cannot, maintain our discriminatory habits.
Right.
That's really what it is. We have to really explore our prejudices, our biases, and discriminatory practices that, people are comfortable with. So, if it's working, why change it? I mean, I go on tirades about a credit score. I mean, who does what benefit is a credit score other than really a classist, discriminatory practice?
Right.
That serves the bank. It doesn't serve you or me.
No. Well, that's it. Yeah. It's
well,
it's true.
Everything.
The bank, see, what happened during Reagan's time, during when we fell into this trickle down economics bullshit. They actually made credit easier. The banks opened up access to credit, so people's wages stopped. They stopped actually pacing or growing with productivity, and but then the banks opened up access to credit, so we got the illusion. They still got the stuff. People were able to access stuff, but they really put themselves in a trap, and that's that was by design.
You have people living in California in $600,000, $800,000 homes, paying interest only. They'll never catch up.
That's right.
There's no way anybody that was bringing home $1,500 to $2,500 a month should be living in an $800,000 home.
That's right. Well,
it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. But this whole country. My father. Everything changed, and it's really through government policy. That's and I hear what you're saying. And this is what we were talking about in the first hour, is that one of the things, obviously, I always say you're a very nice person, and you don't, not like me. Like I'm after, like, I wish I was more like you. Let's put it that way. I am a nice person, but I really don't have, I can't deal with Republicans. I feel like they are dupes. They're being duped by the oldest tricks in the book. Divide and conquer, and that's how they get them, through racism, and this country really needs what you're doing, the HaHa Institute. It needs a Truth and Reconciliation Commission. It needs some kind of recognition of our racist ass history, and it's so much work to be done. And
I wish it could just be confined to race.
Right.
We've got class stuff, we've got ableism going on, and as if being a black lesbian woman isn't enough, I'm now a woman of a certain age.
Right.
So here comes the ageism marching by, mixed in with, the statistics for old lesbians are pathetic.
Oh, really? What are they?
Most of us are doomed to poverty.
That sucks.
That's what's really happening because of the wage discrimination I have to live with. When I first started working in my teens, I made $2.17. Think about it. I'm not that old.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So what does my Social Security look like? It's just
right.
It's just ongoing. The challenges are ongoing. So I take a stand that we have to evolve as human beings, individuals. We have to do our human revolution so that we can feel exactly what you were talking about, as a vital part of a whole. We are one.
Right. And
so
that's
we forget that we are one. All these factions are kind of useless in a way. That's
true. And that's why one of the things I always advocate is, as far as we were talking about universal health care in the first hour, but it's for universal everything. Everybody in, nobody out. Universal health care, universal higher education, universal retirement security. We don't leave people behind. That really needs to be the rallying cry of the true American patriot, which is we don't leave people behind. No one. Not
the children. No one gets left behind.
Right. Not just people under $100,000 or something like with the Democrats had an education plan. Everybody under $100,000 can get free education. No, everybody. You know what I mean? Like that just like creates resentment. And I saw it when that happened because my sister is I guess she lives in a big house and everything, and she's not, if you drove up to her house you'd be like, holy shit, this is a fucking big house, right? And but she's whining. Well, my nieces and nephews are in college, but she was whining about people getting free college tuition and whatnot. But that's what it is. And I saw that that's what that does. That creates division. That creates resentment. So then she's resenting somebody a few rungs lower on the ladder because they're getting more of an open door, and she's like, and my nieces and nephews, and it's the system that's effed up because they're coming out of college with hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt. And so, and my sister, who I constantly have to educate her on a million things, but I saw that in my own family, like her being like, oh, well, they get everything handed to them. Really? But that's, that's falling into the trap. You know what I mean?
But who is this they?
She's talking about, what she was talking about specifically, and it was dreamers at the time. She was saying, oh, these dreamers, because which was a bullshit story anyway. She was like, the dreamers are getting a free ride at Rutgers. And I'm like, I doubt it, and I'd like to see where you got this information. But it sounds like some Fox News bullshit, which I would think it was because but my sister never turns on the news, you know what I mean? So I don't know where the hell she was hearing it. She, like, if you go to my sister's house, you're like going into a pit of. It's like, no, you don't know where you are, you don't know what day it is. It's like, you know what I mean? She doesn't put on a TV. She watches. Wait, sorry. She just doesn't. She doesn't get a newspaper. She'll watch, Law and Order, but she won't ever watch a news show, or she doesn't know what the hell's going on. So I don't know where she's getting this information, but that's the information, like, that's in the air, wherever the fuck she's like getting her information. So I was like, what are you talking about? So why are you resenting these dreamers? It's but that's by design. That's like a purposeful thing where these right wingers, Republicans, like, they want us to be at each other's throats constantly. So we're not. Anyway.
And again, I wish it was just that simple. I have been, as an entertainer, I've been in every state except 3: North Dakota, South Dakota, and Arkansas. And this country is segregated.
Yes.
And so the idea that we're just segregated by race is not true. Mm-hmm. We are segregated by class. We are segregated by education. So, in segregated societies, people don't have to know about other people. They just have to know about the people that they believe are like them.
Right.
And then they can pass around the same stories. We're a storytelling culture. You know that. I mean, that's why comedy is so hot. Mm-hmm. We all tell stories, and that people believe the stories that they're being told, and then they don't have to venture outside of themselves to really get to know, are these stories about these particular people true?
Right.
Because as soon as someone who lives in any kind of an enclave gets out of that enclave and meets an Indonesian American, then they can say, wow, I had no idea that Indonesian Americans do this.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And actually get to know what's really going on with people. Then we don't have to just use rhetoric. See, that's the most harmful thing to me We've been going through this way before this president. We've been dumbing down as Americans. We have been getting dumber and dumber, and that is by design.
Oh, yeah, totally.
You know? Because uninformed people are not going to question anything. They're going to be automatons, and they're not going to question anything. You know, so, but we don't have to malign those people. We don't even have to discuss them. We just have to get busy helping young people who are really interested in changing the landscape of America. For instance, there's a young black lesbian in Atlanta who I supported when she was running for office.
Who's that?
You know, Park Cannon.
What's her
Park
name?
Cannon. Park, C-A-R-K.
Park.
C-A-N-N-O-N. She'd be wonderful to have on your show.
Yeah.
And she campaigned, and she won with very little money. And I don't exactly remember I don't know if she's a state representative. I don't want to quote
No,
incorrectly, but Park Cannon.
I'm going to call her. I'll call her. I'll see if she'll come on the show.
It was the most homegrown little campaign, and that's why you're seeing, people winning in their hometown, city council, and, mayoral races and things like that, because that's where it's going to make a difference. If you can't get your city to support city taxes to improve the schools in your area, for example, then what are we talking about? The quality of your education is going to be crap.
Right.
Kids are going to lose interest in school. We all know our educational system needs fixing. It's 50 years behind the time. So I am just one of those grassroots activists. There's nothing wrong with, while I'm high-minded and there's a lot of things that I want to change, I think being in San Francisco during those Reagan years when he never mentioned HIV or AIDS, and those guys were dropping dead like flies. You see someone on Tuesday who said he was sick, and he was dead on Saturday. Right. Those guys raised money and saved themselves.
That's right.
They did not wait for the government.
Well, that's true.
And
that's
I learned about activism,
Wait, say that again. You're breaking up a little bit. What did you just say?
I said, and I learned about activism there.
Right, and that's what this country, if it's running effectively, that's the way it should run. People should run for office because they want to serve and this and do some good for their community and advocate for the people they represent. But it's
for their constituents. That's right.
But it's total because of money in politics, and there's the corruption is built into the system now. So and we really have a lot of work to do. One thing that Trump did, I think that is, and I won't say good, but because I'd much rather be, as I said earlier, pushing Hillary to the left than fighting fascism or fighting this dumbass, this con man. But what he did was really expose the corruption and what's wrong. He showed us just how low we could go, and he really exploited the broken places in our society and in our system. And that's real. That's how he quote unquote won. He did not win. Clearly, he received fewer votes, but he really tickled racist funny bones. He tickled fear. And Republicans were doing that for years. They playing the fear card. Blowing their racist dog whistles and whatnot. But he has kind of just taken all the hoods off, I think, and showed us what the work that needs to be done. Now, it's also it's an opportunity to get it back. Are you there, Karen?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Oh, okay.
I'm listening
No, I thought for a second it.
I'm old enough to remember when we did not just point out the faults of one person. I'm old school enough that when I became a feminist in my 20s, we were talking about the systems that needed to be changed. The system of patriarchy, the system of capitalism. I don't know why we keep expecting our government to be humanistic when we are a capitalist country.
Right.
Okay? Our workforce, we had slavery.
Right.
So it's no wonder that we don't get pay parity. It's slavery on a military model.
Right.
Could you be any worse?
Right.
Can you expect people to thrive in that kind of an atmosphere? The answer is no.
Right. Right.
So these are systems that are wrong. It's systemic.
Oh,
the
totally.
Racism, the patriarchy, all of that is systemic. So now we say, oh, this guy is so bad or that. That happened after Nixon. With Watergate, we began scapegoating one person. But no one person is. My son was living here in Northeast Ohio and being stopped on average 4 to 6 times a month driving while black.
Oof. Yeah.
Trump isn't doing that.
No, I know.
That's the system.
Oh, yeah. Well, I never said it was just Trump. I think Trump is the symptom. He is totally the symptom. That's what I mean. But that's one of the things that President Obama said in his speech this week. I completely agree. He is a symptom of what's wrong. But yes, the whole system, the fact that we have a budget, the fact that Republicans were able to funnel more money into the hands of the rich while turning around and complaining about Medicare and saying we're going to have to cut Social Security, we're going to have to cut Medicare. Oh, we just don't have enough money. Meanwhile, it's like Gandhi said, there's enough for everyone's need, but not for everyone's greed. So if you have a system that, cuts people off, cuts their lifelines, that's disgusting. That is completely unconscionable. To turn around now, these Republicans are trying to bring back pre-existing conditions, and they're screwing with our health care again and again. And I say the best way to get rid of to disarm a terrorist is to take away their means to terrorize us, and that's terrorism. When somebody finally gets to get on healthcare and I have diabetes or whatever, and they start taking they're taking care of themselves, and then a couple of years later these Republicans get in and they're like, oh well, sorry sucker, and they start taking away people's lifelines. And but this is what they're doing. This is exactly what's happening right now. Like in New Jersey, I was actually just reading that what the states are doing. You're talking about local control. Now in New Jersey right now, the New Jersey the local government, because Trump and the Republican Party are screwing with Obamacare, the New Jersey legislature passed a law to basically an Obamacare law saying making every resident of New Jersey, they have to have insurance. So this is what they're doing. So the Republicans screwed it up nationally, and the local government went in and was like, oh well. They put the law in locally now, which will shore up insurance for their state now. But this is what each year everybody has to. I mean, this is what's in this country. I don't understand how we could be a United States if we have these silos of care. Some states get care, some states don't. If you live here, you can have health insurance. You can, people. It just doesn't. It's an unsustainable system, and that's, I mean, that's why I say the only real remedy is, disarming this conversation by having a universal health care. That's what I mean. FDR was smart when he created Social Security with not just him alone, but he was planning that for years. In fact, when he was governor of New York, he sent Frances Perkins, who was one of his the first female cabinet member, in the United States. He sent her to England to study their system of health care and their social security system. Anyway, but that's what he made it a system where we're all paying into it, where every single person, no matter what, rich or poor, gets Social Security when they reach a certain age. And that was by design. They said so because FDR said no damn politician will ever scrap my program that way. And that's what we need to do with, health care. And I believe, and we're talking about these, being human and seeing each other's humanity and whatnot. That's how we will do that. We will, it's a
lot of work, and I just think that everybody who's conscious and wants to do that work just needs to pick an area where they want to do the work. It's going to be really challenging to, have 5, 10, or 15 causes.
I know.
But, when you think about, I'm just reading this quote by, former President Obama, who says, no, you can't deny women their basic rights and pretend it's about your religious freedom. If you don't like birth control, don't use it.
Right.
Religious freedom doesn't mean you can force others to live by your own beliefs. These things are just basic things, but then we have to remember, Margaret Sanger went to jail trying to help women not have a baby every 9 months or a year.
Right.
People that have really fought against injustice did so at with little regard for their personal sanctity. They really did. People went out on a limb, and there's no it is by design what you're saying, that 200 million people will get up on Monday morning, go to jobs they do not like, that do not pay them fairly for the work that they're going to do, that has stripped them of their health benefits and demeans them in 100 million ways. But this is what they've grown to even the idea that you go to college to get a good job. That's not what college was about.
Right, totally. Yeah, I was just talking about that in the first
hour. You know what
hour,
I'm saying?
too.
Like, we are being trained to be cogs in a wheel. Why? Because people like you, people like me, we're just too free. And you know what I'm saying? We're just too free, and it scares the shit out of people when they're around people that are not automatons.
Right. It's
that
true.
Stop and think about what's going on in the world and how it's affecting you, how it's affecting your children. I have grandchildren. I have great-grandchildren. I want to say this. 6 of my grandchildren, my great-grandbaby, and 5 of my grandchildren, 6 of them, are Mexican and black. So when I'm thinking about what's happening in Mexico and stripping of passports and detainment of Mexicans,
I know.
I can't just look at that like it doesn't affect me.
Right.
It doesn't have anything to do with me. That's ridiculous.
Right. Yeah, no, it affects everybody.
We have to find the intersectionalities. These are the words, this is the language that basically says, I'm a human, you're a human, let's figure out how we're going to share this planet together with love, respect, and share the resources and help those who do not have the capacity to obtain resources live a decent life. We have that responsibility.
It's true. I agree 100%. And I always think about, we are wired for interconnectedness. We're not wired to be rugged individuals or whatever. The human species goes back millions of years, like even our prehistoric ancestors. They have found evidence. Archaeologists and anthropologists have found evidence of our human ancestors caring for the sick, and so this goes like for people for over 1 million years. Now you're talking about, I think it was Homo habilis. That was the first prehistoric ancestor they found caring.
You're smarter about this stuff than I am.
This is my.
I just I always ask people, do you know any Puritans? And they go, no. So when I go, why are we living by their standards and by their work ethic?
This is what I can't even I mean, really, first of all, it's like, why are we, when they talk about the Bible, I can't stand, I'm sorry for anybody who believes in the Bible. I mean, it's like, all right, come on. The Bible, you're talking about a book that was written by men that didn't understand what a germ was, that didn't know, you know what I mean? Like they thought the sun was they thought the earth was the center of the universe. Like this is what we're going to base our society on? That somebody said something in the Bible? Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me. So, yes. I remember when I was younger, I used to work at Barnes & Noble at a job doing displays. I used to paint displays, and this was many years ago. And I had to do a display for a book called The Timeline of History, and it annoyed me because everything was like real history, but it started with Adam and Eve. That was the history, and okay, and then it was like real shit in there too, and I was like so mad about this, and I went home and I said to my mother, I was like, oh, I had to do this stupid thing, this stupid timeline of history, and she was like, what? You don't believe in Adam and Eve? This is what my mother said to me, and I was like, are you serious? I owe $20,000 on a student loan. If I believed in Adam and Eve, I'd want my money back, frankly. So, but it's like this, but come on, can we really go anywhere? This is, if we believe in things that, I mean, how are we ever going to be great when you're believing in things like that, like fantasy,
so
fairy tales?
But we have to, this again is my vantage point. When I just read what, former President Obama said, religious freedom doesn't mean you can force others to live by your own beliefs. We have to be as respectful. I try to be, that's why you say I'm nice.
You're a nice person.
It's not so much that I'm nice. I'm actually a raving lunatic. But I have decided that to be who I am in this skin and brown, that the best thing that works for me is to be as respectful as possible, because that's what I want.
Yeah, but I mean,
if you love me, that's your choice. But I can be respectful, and I can ask people about their beliefs without necessarily having to be antagonistic. I think the whole thing is, I studied the Bible in English literature. I thought it was fantastic sci-fi stories and, fables and all of that. Would I live my life by that? Not so sure.
Right.
Okay?
Why should we live?
But there are people who do.
Yeah, in the
and
Bible.
What am I going to...
But I mean, and then they pick and choose what they want to say, harvest from it. If that's another thing, so it says in one place, man shall not lie with another man. But, it also talks about not eating shellfish and not wearing cloth of two different fabrics and all. And, if your wife isn't, if you marry a woman and she's not a virgin, then your homeboys and yourself have to go beat her to death in front of her father's house or something like that. It's this is really what we're come on, people, can we just and I always think about alternative histories as well, and I wonder what life would be like if Constantine never turned Christian.
Well, you're talking about stuff that I don't even really know about, because the truth of the matter is, I've had people to say to me, gee, you're the only black person I've ever met that doesn't know the Bible.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I was not raised as a Christian. I never had to go to church or any of that stuff. And so, I started practicing Buddhism when I was 19 years old.
Good for you.
And, I'm in my 47th year of practice, and I just listen when people share what they feel they need to share about that. But I can't even, I don't even know the reference that you're making.
That's amazing.
I don't have a clue about what you're saying. So I just decided if I want to be respected as a Buddhist, because I remember telling a black woman I was a Buddhist when I was at Cleveland State, and I was in a religion class, and I said I was a Buddhist, and she jumped up and said, "Oh, that means you believe in many gods," and she ran out, and we never saw her again. You know what I'm saying? And I was like,
wow.
I didn't even get to touch what I
That's
believe.
crazy.
But I think it's interesting when you know what I believe, and we didn't even have a discussion.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And running out like that, too. That's nuts. I wonder if she's still running somewhere.
I don't know.
They haven't seen her since. She's like, that's crazy.
It's like insanity, you know, because difference frightens people.
Right.
It just does. Mm-hmm. You know, and I liken it to being in a zoo. I mean, you know, I'm sure that, you know, when you own a snake, right? You have a snake pit. You know, people have like snakes and aquarium things, and the mouse is running around with the snake, and so the snake is of no danger to that mouse until it gets hungry.
Yes, I know. Poor mouse. I can't handle that.
Like, you know, it's just like, I don't know where I was going with that, but I just thought it's funny that we have so much trouble just getting along with each other. But I know that, you know, difference scares the heck out of people. We just can't stand it.
Right. Well, that's I'm sure that was put into us like when we were evolving. There was a need for us to stay with our groups because strength in numbers, and for us to be like, whoa, what was that in the bushes or whatever, and be hyper vigilant about, you know, our tribe. But that doesn't serve us, you know, anymore.
I tell people at my shows sometimes, I say, well, we're all African American. Well, you can hear a pin drop. And I say, listen, when they go looking for the original person in Poland, Greece, Italy, then I'll think differently. Why are they always going and zooming skeletons from the heart of Africa?
That's right. Well, why is there so much hatred based on the color of someone's skin? I can't handle it.
When you really think about it, that's absurd.
Yes, it's so stupid. It's like that. I say this all the time too. I was like, it's the stupidest kind of hate, because it's like hating somebody. Oh, they have brown eyes, blue eyes. It's like whatever. You have somebody has darker pigment. It's ridiculous. And when you were saying that,
if you don't travel, though, you don't realize. See, I was in Australia for a month. I did 20 shows in Sydney, Australia in 1995 at the Belvoir Street Theatre. So they pride themselves, Australians pride themselves, oh, we don't have all these racial issues. And I said, hey, shut up, okay? You killed off 70 tribes of Aboriginal people.
Right.
That's why you don't have racial problems. But suffice that to say, the underdog people in Australia were Italians. They were and Eastern Europeans. They were the housekeepers. They were the maids. They were the servants. So it showed me that when there are no brown people or other kinds of people to dislike, you'll just pick some people.
Right, they pick whatever.
It's just, and while I was there, they opened a little Italo Australian museum in one room, you know, so that Italo Australians could have some pride. I mean, I was looking at it, and it was just crazy.
That is weird.
But it shows me something
about
so
human
nature.
Yes.
And you know, we're both comics. American comedy is based on an underdog. It's based on put-down humor.
Right.
You know, it's all put down. And so it's even in our cultural, you know, the things that are supposed to be our cultural, I don't know how to, you know, cultural art is an art of put down, you know?
Right.
When I taught stand-up comedy at Cleveland State, I said, you know, male comics got away forever with 10 adjectives: big, fat, ugly, stupid, black, crippled woman, and I forget the other 3. But you understand?
Yes.
No, you're a cop. We have to listen to this stuff. So then when feminists said, you know what, why don't we try doing some empowering comedy? Why don't we try do some comedy that, looks at common human foibles and or Roseanne Barr coming out when she was on TV, grabbing a handful of M&M peanuts and cheese doodles and talking about her uterus. I mean, we forget how hard we've had to fight just to make a difference and to be different.
Yes, that's true. Very true. And in our lifetime, yes. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
In our lifetime.
Yeah. Well, just to think about...
And they get killed for it.
Right.
That's the really scary part.
That people had to bleed.
I talk with people now, and they say hate crimes have gone up.
Of course, because Trump he's the Pied Piper of these people. He thinks, they're all coming out of the closet. Even here in New York City, the people, you saw that guy, that video that went viral saying, speak English, like in New York City. It's, he ended up getting publicly shamed, of course, but this is in a different time. Perhaps that guy would have shut his pie hole and kept it to himself. But I mean, these people they're coming out of the closet. What?
American wife yet?
Say that again?
As Mr. Trump, American wife yet? I mean, it's
so
absurd.
Yeah,
it's just absurd. It's like, do you remember the story, The Emperor's New Clothes?
Yes. That's him.
I mean, that's the time we're living in, where everybody's saying, "Oh, no, that's not that. He's not really naked.
Right?
Don't you see the photo? You know?
Right. Well, when we was just saying about about the first people being from Africa, that's scientifically 100% true. We can all be traced back to one woman in Africa. Apparently, they have the DNA down. It's the truth. You laughing, but it's true. And anyway, they recently, just to add on to the point you were making, in England. They found they uncovered a man. They call him the Cheddar Man, and they found him in. I'm just reading he's over 10,000 years old. So in the beginning, when they found this guy, they found the remains of this guy, and they were calling him the first Englishman, right? But then, so recently, they because of DNA, they were able to do a reconstruction of him, including his skin color, and he's black. Okay, so the English, and it really brought out a lot of racism in England. Like, they were saying, this isn't true, this isn't real. I mean, are you kidding me? First of all, white skin is it's really new. It's less than 10,000 years old, in fact. So if you're going back to...
no wonder... Okay, anyway.
No wonder what? What? No wonder it's so fucked up. It's true.
No wonder.
Yeah. But that's what. But it just goes to show you, is they were like how weird people are when they saw that. If you look up Cheddar Man if you just Google it, you'll see an image of the reconstruction, and it just brings out just some weirdness in people. Why? Because it said that researchers already knew that some Europeans of this time had dark skin and blue eyes, but Cheddar Man reveals that previous assumptions that earlier inhabitants of the British Isles had lighter skin, and were that they were wrong, and that those traits didn't spread through England until past 4,800 years ago. So. It's
wow.
Yeah, but that's the the evolution of the human species. So whatever. Mm-hmm. White skin in that evolution, white skin is a relatively new what do you call it? Trait.
And we're a relatively new country, and that's what makes a lot of these other countries laugh at us. We are the teenagers,
not
we
even,
haven't.
really.
I studied
like
architecture.
Toddlers.
I thought I was going to be an architect, and we were constantly studying European architecture, and African architecture was called primitive architecture, and we didn't even study any Moorish architecture. Right. And there are structures in Turkey and places in the Muslim world that are over 5,000 years old.
Right.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
And even in our study of things, we can't help but, bring race and difference into the conversation. And it makes me feel like we're kind of content with the fact that we're being cheated.
Right.
You know, we're just content with continuing on with the same way of thinking and the same way of being and the same way of doing. And meanwhile, new people are being born every single day. Who, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm going to be honest with you. I don't spend a whole lot of time with older people, and now I'm an older person. I want to have my institute so that I can have internships for youth, so that I can youth training, so I can do some of this diversity, inclusion work with lesbians, gays, bisexuals, transgender people, queer, pansexual, omnisexual, however, non-binary people, however you identify, so that you can have the confidence to be 1,000% you in spite of the pervasive air of prejudice, bias, hatred, and you know what I'm saying? And hatred of difference.
Right. Well, thank you. You know,
because it's going to take courage. It's going to take courage and community.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Thank you, Karen. We're wrapping up because we only have 3 minutes left. So I'm just.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for sharing and coming on the show and talking about HaHa Institute. And so people can donate. And obviously, as we know, we can go on with this conversation, and we will. But we will, motherfucker. We will. And this is what we need. We need to come together, and you're doing the really great work. And so thank you, Karen. And
thanks so much.
All right, guys.
Have a great night.
All right, I'll see you later. Thanks.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. That was Karen Williams, everyone. An amazing comic. If you get a chance to see her live, please check her out. And also donate to Karen's Institute. Let's get this thing going. Let's get it off the ground. All right, so I only have a couple of minutes left. And I want to thank everybody for hanging out. We had a lot of people on the show tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. I wanted to, before we get off the air here, I just want to encourage everybody to not give up about this Kavanaugh appointment. It's to call Susan Collins, to call Lisa Murkowski, to call all your senators and representatives, mostly. So we'll call them all. Who cares? Call the senators. Let's not give up, because this guy he's unfit, and he will roll back Roe v. Wade, and he will stick his big Republican nose into our health care, and he will kill more people. So I know Republicans say, oh, you always say that we're going to kill people. Well, guess what? Because you will. When you take people off of health care, when you don't give them options, when you send women to back alleys, when you put greed over the welfare, the general welfare. So there are consequences. And just like elections have consequences, and which is why we need to get back to the popular vote and undo this last vestige of the slavery or whatever. I don't know what I'm trying to say, and which is the Electoral College. Got to get rid of that too. And okay, so let's not give up. Like I always say. What do I always say? We stick together, we win. It's true. Please go on to RDT Daily, donate. I'll send you some window clings, and I'll also try to, buy some shirts or something, some mugs. We got some good stuff, and the inventory is always being updated, so that will help us too. That helps us stay on and get more, contributors, which is, this is how we're going to win. And we will win. So, like I always say, we stick together, we win. I'm Tara Devlin. I'll see you next week.